Today we will talk about some inventors who suffered because of his inventions. As you know, inventors are people who are obsessed with achieving their goal. They are ready to sacrifice not only time and effort but also their own lives. Many of them lost their health or even their lives. There are many examples in the history of the world. Today we will tell you about the top 10 most interesting stories with inventors. So sit back and start. Also don't forget to like and subscribe. Mystical hero Richard, who helped his father make some weapons so that he could take his flight from the island of Crete where a cruel king named Minos ruled. Unfortunately, during the flight, Icarus forgot about his father's advice and flew too high. Because of this, the sun melted the wax with which the wings were fixed. Icarus fell into the sea and died. The dangers. Dangers was a doctor from ancient Greece. He once came to the head of Arca Gas Larid and proposed an invention to him. A huge copper bowl. According to Pericles, this gold was a wonderful room for execution. The person sentenced to death was placed inside the bowl under which a fire was being made. The convict was slowly baking inside this bowl, screaming terribly. At the same time, thanks to the piping system that was designed from it, the cries of the sacrifice resembled the roar of a bull. The tyrant liked this invention. It just remained to be tested in practice, and as you can see, the child himself became the first victim. In my opinion, it would be better if he didn't show the invention to the leader. You know that the military engineer in the United States, Hariton Lawson Hanley, took part in the Civil War of 1861 to 1865, but for the southern part, to help his Hanley brothers. He started designing a submarine. The first test dive ended tragically. 5 Iowa crew members died. At the second test, the inventor decided to personally present his invention. On October 15, 1863, the entire crew and engineer Hanley died. The sunken submarine was found over 132 years ago on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean in Charleston Harbor. If you already knew about the sunken submarine, you've probably never heard of it. The Austrian Frantz Wessel lived in France and was not an engineer. He was a tailor. In his free time he invented a special suit that would allow pilots to stay alive during a plane crash. The Austrian did some experiments on the mannequins he threw from the 5th floor into the void. Several successful attempts have greatly inspired the inventor. He tried to get permission to jump off the Eiffel Tower. On February 4th, he climbed to a height of 57 meters and to the horror of the public he jumped. Unfortunately, no miracle happened to the inventor. He died. Willie Nelson. He worked for General Electric. Nelson decided to assemble a motorbike to stop pedaling. He obtained a prototype of a moped during a test. 24-year-old Nelson has died. Titanic. On April 10, 1912, from Southampton to New York was the first and last. At the same time, the Titanic's ocean voyage. On board was Thomas Andrews, a shipbuilding contractor and one of the Titanic's designers. On April 14, the Titanic collided with a huge iceberg. According to official figures, 1,496 people have fallen victim to the disaster. Among them was designer Thomas Andrews. As far as I know, his body has not been found. Valery Avakov, who? Shortly after the revolution he decided to design a motorized trolley on which an aviation propeller was mounted. Mikowski called his invention a low-fuel aero wagon. This wagon was developing at an extraordinary speed. On July 24, 1921, a test was performed on the Moscow-Tula route. The wagon managed to reach Tula without any problems, but on its return to Moscow there was a catastrophe in which 6 people died. Among the 6 people was inventor Valerian Bukovsky. Carroll, Sussex. He designed a special capsule with which he could descend from Niagara Falls. Following the descent, the stuntman suffered several serious injuries but survived. But that was not enough for him and he decided to try another trick. he decided to try a very tricky trick on top of the stadium, claiming Texas astronomers to support him. He designed a jump in a capsule as in the previous trick, only this time in a specially prepared pool. Unfortunately, the capsule did not fall into the center of the pelvis as planned. The capsule hit its edge. Stuntman Carl Yuxek, who devised this trick, died the next day of extremely serious injuries. Did you know that Michael Ars tried to build a taxi of the future, a taxi that would be threatened by the biggest problem of today's traffic jams? A hot air burner designed a flying taxi. In my opinion, this inventor was inspired by the movie White Element. But as you think? Write in the comments. I can't wait to read your opinion. The first flight took place in August 2009. There were 8 people in the cabin, including the inventor Michael Ars, but unfortunately immediately after the taxi took off, it exploded. Warmer, but with those who were on board this taxi of the future, they died. Unlike all the inventors I told you about today, Roberto Gaston Watt did not die because of his invention but suffered financially. Watson Mote was a physicist who became famous for his invention. He invented the world's first radar that is capable of tracking air targets. In addition, Watt's invention was approved by the police to catch unruly drivers in one day. A car driven by Roberto Watt's Nomad was stopped by a police officer. The driver was fined for violating the speed limit. This violation was recorded using radar, which was invented by Watson himself. Have you ever wondered who invented the first printing press? I know the answer. William Bullock invented the first rotary printing press in 1863. The printing press that is used today has undergone several improvements, and also thanks to the inventor the first press was quite large and heavy. In 1867, while William was adjusting one of his presses to be installed in the Philadelphia Public Leah newspaper, he caught his footing in the press. Although William managed to free himself a few days after the accident, his leg became gangrenous and he died on April 12 during the amputation operation. Did you know that radioactive substances are very dangerous to your health? But when the radioactive substances were discovered, no one suspected this. Marie Curie is a renowned chemist-physicist for her studies of radioactivity. She is responsible for establishing the theory of radioactivity. Unfortunately, she discovered the fatal effect of radiation on health too late. Marie Curie died on July 4, 1934, of anemia caused by radiation exposure. Beware of radioactive substances. If you are a lover of magic, then you have probably heard of this case. Magician Harry Houdini has been noted for his incredible numbers of escaping from chains and handcuffs to cables and ropes hanging from skyscrapers. Houdini shocked the world with his death-defying magic acts. But unfortunately he failed a trick. Escape master Lord Harry Houdini died of a punch to the abdomen in 1926 during a public demonstration. Houdini asked an amateur boxer to hit him in the abdomen with all his might. The blow caused a rupture of the appendix that left Houdini dead a few days later. Write in the comments if you knew about this. Have you ever thought that youth can be eternal? Alexander Bogdanov was so obsessed with discovering the secret of eternal youth that he died for this reason. In the 1920s, he began experimenting with blood transfusions, believing that they had strong rejuvenation priorities, and even succeeded in convincing Stalin to set up the Transfusion Institute. After 11 transfusions, he stated that he had stopped the alopecia process. He also said that his eyesight improved. Unfortunately, the transfusion techniques were just beginning and the preliminary tests were not done in 1928. Bogdanov had a transfusion with blood infected with malaria and tuberculosis. He died shortly after. By the way, did you know that donating blood burns 650 calories? We end with the famous Romanian inventor who to this day makes his life easier. The instrument we know from the first years of life is the invention of a Romanian named Petrece Poenaru. He was an engineer and mathematician and was always concerned with the organization of national education. He was the inventor who became known worldwide for the tank top. Originally, the name of the device was the endless ink-powered portable pen. Later, the invention became known as the pen, which we know today. Fortunately, Petrice Poenaru did not suffer because of his invention. Friends, that's all for today. Write in the comments what you found out new or what amused you. Thank you all for watching and subscribing. Of course, don't forget the bell so as not to miss new episodes soon.